All right. Welcome, guys.
Hydrate.
We got you to the throat a little bit.
Right.
Welcome to our exclusive webinar. I'm so excited to have you guys. We have a ton of people joining us today, and I'm broadcasting live from Hermosa Beach, California. And this is Kevin Michael Schmitz. I'm a celebrity fashion advertising photographer, TV director, executive producer, and even TV host of the TV show Great Escapes. And I also am the director of the Photography Workshop Series. My mission is to take photographers and filmmakers and give them the opportunity to create the greatest images and video of their entire lifetime. Now, today, we're also joined by an incredible panelists here. We have the great Jay Foster, who is the owner and agent with 46 Pictures, a major photography agency that represents photographers and directors here in Los Angeles. We also have the great Lance Andrews, who's an amazing fashion photographer and consumer photographer based in on the East Coast. So we're so excited to have you guys here, and we're going to be, each of us are going to be talking about perspective on marketing, making more money in photography, transitioning from consumer photography into commercial photography, and really all about how can we maximize our opportunity as a photographer and a small business owner to make sure that we're going to make things pop in 2020? How are we going to actually maximize profitability as a photographer? We're going to go in depth, and we're even going to do something that no other webinar that I've ever seen has ever done before. We're going to be going line by line through an actual advertising campaign. And I'm going to show you some tricks of the trade of how I maximize profitability within one of my photographic budgets. And to me, this is extremely important because as a photographer, I want to make sure that, I'm not just creating and I'm not just there as an image maker and a filmmaker and a storyteller. I'm here to also do this as a living. So if you want to make money and do this as a living, you also need to learn some of the marketing and the money-making opportunities, some of the things that become so important that most photographers they don't really understand completely. They might not have the opportunity to know kind of the in-depth side of what it's like on the commercial side. We're also going to talk about some tips and strategies of how to maximize our profitability on the aspect of consumer photography. So not just shooting advertising campaigns and fashion magazine editorials and filming broadcast commercials, but also how do we increase profitability in consumer photography, such as portraiture, weddings, shooting headshots, model portfolios, even if you're doing boudoir or you're shooting maternity or children. How do we maximize that business as well? Because I talk to photographers every day that I mentor, and a lot of them feel kind of stuck. They feel like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm kind of doing the same thing as last year. I don't really know what to do. How do I increase how much I'm earning? How do I increase, do I want to shoot more photo shoots, or do I want to make more per photo shoot and work less? Or maybe you want both. I don't know. But every photographer kind of has their own desires and needs. And I want to be here today to kind of showcase some tricks of the trade of how we can take your business to the next level. Because that's what I'm here and this is what I'm all about. So I'm also going to showcase to you guys a little bit about my background. So, many of you that are on right now do know me personally. I know a ton of, we've been doing the Photography Workshop Series now for 10 years. I've directed over 120 of these elite photographic workshops all over the world. And I've been able to touch thousands of photographers and give them the opportunity to really take themselves to the next level. So many of you are on right now, and I'm also going to have a really incredible special that I'm going to offer you at the end of this webinar and give you something that I've never done before. So I'm really, really excited, and I can't wait to kind of delve into everything that we're talking about. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and showcase a little bit about who I am. I am my whole career was started as a photographer, where I did the educational route to become a photographer. And everybody has their own journey. Sometimes people are interns or They assist photographers. For me, I actually was, you know, a little bit more like, oh, I'm gonna do a traditional education. I did my bachelor's in photography. I did my master's of fine arts to be a professor of photography. And then I assisted and interned under world-class commercial advertising and fashion photographers. And I'm from a small little village of less than 2,000 people in rural Michigan. So I'm from, you know, many of you guys are like, oh, I live in the middle of nowhere. I'm in the Midwest or the South or a rural community. You know, I don't know if I can make it. Well, you know what? You can. You know, I'm a country kid. I'm from a little, you know, small village in a cornfield. And I was able to, you know, to basically take my dream and make something absolutely mind-blowing with it. So I ended up going to graduate school at the Academy of Art San Francisco. And you know, I wanted to be a professor of photography, learning the discourse of the theoretical aspects of image making. But then I also realized, you know what? I really want to shoot professionally. I really want to shoot commercially. I want to make a lot of money as a photographer, not just be a professor. So I started going down that pathway. Now, many of you guys are consumer photographers and you're trying to transition into commercial photography. And, you know, you know, even me, when I was first starting off as a photographer, when I was 19 years old, back when I was an undergrad studying photography, I actually started doing fine art photography, believe it or not. I would shoot landscapes. In fact, actually, you can see a photograph behind me. This is a landscape image that I shot in St. Kitts in the Caribbean. I was able to shoot all kinds of amazing landscapes all over the world, and because I have a love for travel, and I was able to sell them to galleries and private collectors and actually make some money doing this. As a 19-year-old kid, it was not bad. Now, some of you guys are gallery photographers, and those of you who are, I'd love for you guys to chant in and ask some questions and share some, you know, some insight and maybe some of the challenges and struggles that you've had. It's definitely not easy to start out in, you know, basically selling fine art prints. Now, but you know what? For me, it was really about creating art and creating something that I felt was spectacular. But I also understood that there's a business side of it. You know, you can't be a photographer without making money. Otherwise, it's just a hobby. And I don't want to do this as a hobby. I want to do this as a profession, like many of you. So, you know, I would love, you know, if any of you guys personally do want to get into landscape photography, I'd love to hear some of your questions as well on this webinar. You know, for me, I held about 25 gallery exhibitions. I would compete in art shows. I was able to sell some of my fine art to galleries. And I would also meet private collectors through these galleries and start selling to them directly. So you can kind of circumvent that 50% gallery fee. Now, even though I was subsidizing kind of my lifestyle with being able to go to university and to be able to, you know, get a degree in photography, I also started doing consumer photography. I started shooting portraiture, little model portfolio shoots, even doing weddings. And I quickly realized that, you know, this is something that I didn't really love it. And many of you kind of feel that way too. That's probably why you're here on this webinar right now. It's like you're doing it because it pays the bills, and, you know, you're doing it because there are, you know, there's 300 million Americans that are out there that, you know, all of us need photographs at some point. So there's a big market for it, right? But the problem is like, is it that rewarding to go and shoot, you know, a portrait shoot or a fraternity shoot or a wedding? For some of you, it is. For some of you, it's just not enough. For me, I also didn't think I was that good at wedding photography. It just wasn't my thing. Portraiture, it's okay, but to me, I like to tell a story. I like action. I like energy. And to me, that's far more enjoyable. I also like travel photography and filming all around the world as well. So if you take a look at, you know, some of the brands that I've been able to create, you can see in my work right here, I showcase a sense of lifestyle, of energy in my imagery. And this is the goal. This is what I really wanted. I want to tell high-end fashion stories, but I also wanted to tell lifestyle. I wanted to shoot, and it doesn't even matter if it's portraiture, if it's, you know, if you're shooting weddings or consumer, or you're shooting commercial, all of it needs lifestyle. So for those of you out there right now listening to this webinar that are consumer photographers, definitely build your lifestyle body of work. Without question, it is vital. And I can see, Lance, you know, you're a guy who, you know, you're shaking your head. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And Lance, Lance Andrews, you started off, you're doing more consumer, you're an amazing consumer and portrait photographer that is transitioning into more commercial work. And, and I know you kind of, came to us and you're like, wow, like, I really loved what you see here at the photography workshop series with our epic workshops. And you're able to realize, wow, I really want to create a body of lifestyle advertising work to kind of take it to the next level of your photographic business. So Lance, why don't you tell me a little bit about that, about your experience from that transition from more on the consumer side, more to the commercial side?
Of course, and I gotta say that ever since I started this workshop series, it has definitely changed how I do photos, especially for big clients. At first, I was skeptical at first because I'm a big skeptic in general, but I have to say, like, for example, this past weekend, I just did a commercial shoot, and it's because they saw the photos I did at the workshop series. They saw these photos and they're like, we want photos like this. We haven't seen any photographers do these lifestyle shoots. And actually that was one of the ones they referenced right there you have on screen. And they referenced this one. They referenced the one we shot at the Chateau Lawn a few months ago, and also another Miami one as well. And that one, the one with the black girl in the hat, and that one too. So at first I'll start off with like everybody did is a lot of consumer photography, a lot of portraiture, a lot of weddings. You got to pay the bills. And, at first you think it's fun, and then after a while you kind of like, it's not enjoyable anymore. It's not exciting. And you really want to make the big bucks. And that is where the commercial is. And not to get into too much detail, is I made several $1,000s an hour for the commercial shoot for 3 hours. And that's all because of just the lifestyle photography that I was able to showcase in my portfolio. And Kevin, I gotta say thank you for that, because if it wasn't for you and showing me all this, I probably would have never booked that job based on the amazing images we got from that workshop series.
Excellent, excellent. So that's some real-time action of like, hey, some transition to building this epic work. And by the way, what Lance is referring to is he attended the Miami Beach workshop that we shot in Miami Beach last year. So this was in April. And you also were like, oh my God, this is amazing. I shot such epic work. I got to do this again. In fact, this is actually from the workshop that Lance attended, where he attended the lifestyle section of this. And this is the swim day of shooting this absolutely mind-blowing swim editorial. And then we did a lifestyle resort advertising campaign as well, that you'll see on Lance's website. And then Lance he's like, hey, I got to do another one of these. So we signed up for the Atlanta workshop that we did in Atlanta, Georgia, Chateau Lawn, this epic, massive vineyard estate that had just unbelievable, just incredible vistas. We had the wine and the vineyards and the beautiful models, and it was amazing. It really kind of took it to the next level with Lance's portfolio. So
it really, really did. And not only that is I took the same what I learned from the workshop and applied to every shoot I've done forward. And it's really made me stand out in the area that I've been. And also I have people from New York, LA, Vegas, Miami messaging me and flying me out to do the same thing. So there is a lot of money out there. And with the right images in the portfolio, I was able to get my plug in, able to connect with them. And it changed my life, honestly. It changed the way I did photography going forward.
Absolutely. So as far as what you learned, I mean, I know you got some of the best lifestyle images you've ever shot in your lifetime, but tell me about what you learned at the workshop as far as on the essentials day and some of the business side of it, of how to maximize profitability.
Well, the one thing I learned was that I tend to undercharge myself a lot. And I tend to, how would I say this best way? Well, a couple of things I learned. One, that it's important to know your worth. There's a lot of business knowledge. Know your worth. Also know that when you do a photo shoot and you're charging a client, there's a lot more that goes into it. So when you're doing like a commercial shoot, for example, that it's not enough to just charge them based per hour. You also understand that there's a lot of money in the marketing budget of these companies. For example, like you showed a budget that you did with Pepsi, for example. And in that budget, you mentioned how like you charge them for not just for the photos, but for the usage fees as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where all the money is at. So I apply that to a lot of my bookings, especially my commercial bookings. And that I made a substantial lot more money from that. So that's from the financial side and from the booking side, but also just having a great mindset of a successful mindset of going out there, getting those bids, applying yourself, having a great social media presence, online presence, and also, God, it's just so hard.
Oh, you're fine, man. I mean, I know that you really amped it up with all that aspect. And you're referring specifically to the Pepsi campaign, and I kind of walked you through that, right? How to actually bid on a campaign. I'm glad you brought that up because I actually wanted to go line by line through something like that today. And I'm actually glad you brought that up because what he's referring to is an actual advertising campaign with a client and how to essentially take that to the next level, right? So I feel like, Lance was able to really, really learn kind of like, okay, what's some of the business side of this to maximize his potential? And with the bidding itself, you said that like, essentially it's, you're learning more about, okay, my worth is more. I got to value your worth as a photographer. And I think that's a really key aspect. So how did that change as far as, your value as yourself as a photographer after the workshop?
So in the beginning, when I started doing a lot of consumer photography, I would just like try to price real low just to make money. I was worried, like, maybe if I just undersell myself, I can get the job, so I at least pay the bills. But you realize that you spend a lot more work for a little pay. And it got to a point where it's like, you know what, I'm going to stick to my worth, even if they say no, even if I get rejected. And we don't have to be rejected because we worry about money and we worry about the bills. But I price myself based on my worth, and the right client sees my worth and they've been more than happy to pay that. So I would say for everyone out there who's a photographer, in consumer photography, commercial photography, don't be afraid to price what your worth is. Because if you do that, you will find the clients that will hire you based on your worth, and you'll make a lot more money than you are. But don't be afraid to do that. Fear will hold you back.
Excellent. So now, Jay, I want to ask you about this because I actually pulled up an actual ad campaign. This is one that I did a few years back for Pepsi. And Jay, I would love for you to talk about this as far as, because Jay Foster, by the way, he's a major photography agent with 46 pictures. He reps photographers and directors. He's traditionally reps multiple photographers and directors, and just recently he's full on as like exclusive for Michael Kakadorian. So Jay, I want to introduce you, and I also want you to talk a little bit about usage fees and creative, and then I'm going to go back into that budget.
Okay, great. Hello, everybody. Kevin's just amazing, as you can hear and tell from both his the way he shows up, his enthusiasm, as well as his work. And I think Lance gave you a lot of great testimonial on how the work really matters ultimately. But as far as budgets, getting back to that, knowing your worth is critical. There's a fine balance, right? Because you have your worth, and everybody listening to this and wants to make the most profitability from any photography job that you do, whether it's the advertising, the editorial, or the consumer work. And the other balance with that is, what can the client pay? Which is always a difficult question, because you can ask and you can pry and you can try many ways to get information. A lot of times they just won't tell you what it is, probably because they're bidding 3-4 photographers on the same project. Because like any good consumer, right, you want to get not only the quality, which is always important, but you also want to get a great price. So Estimating is a big part of successful photography, not just your images, and not just your attitude and your desire, but also how you price yourself. And, you know, I can let probably Kevin and Lance share some more about that. There may be times where you can get that super profitability. And there may be other times that you have to say, hey, where am I at my career? And maybe this is a project I want to do that I haven't done before. So I'm willing to work with the client or agency or consumer, you know, on the pricing. So it really comes down to finding out what you feel comfortable. Like Lance was saying, several $1,000s he made per hour on shooting an advertising job. But what am I comfortable with? What is my worth? Am I $1 a minute? Am I $5, $10? Am I 20 a minute? Am I $1,000 a minute? You know, whatever it is. And that's what you have to really believe in. And you have to walk that walk, and you have to have the work that supports that. And Kevin's workshops, if you don't have a big portfolio, if you don't have a lot of experience, you know, his workshops give you an opportunity to make these dynamite, impactful images. And art buyers, art directors, creative directors, magazine editors, even the consumer for the wedding or portraits, they want to see amazing pictures, you know. So it's a delicate balance, Kevin. You know, it's really working on having enough opportunities to bid. Like Lance was saying, you know, bidding jobs is critical. Trying to get in on pricing, and then you'll learn, wow, I didn't get this last 2 or 3 jobs. Maybe I'm pricing myself too high. Or maybe you're getting every job that you price, and wow, maybe my self-worth is more than that. So it comes with being prepared, and it comes with knowing who you are, what you want, and what you can deliver ultimately, because the client may go for everything with your budget, with you know, what you say you're going to do, and it always comes down to execution. So you've got to be creative, but you've got to be technically sharp as well. So I don't know if I answered those questions, Kevin, about the budget.
Well, so you've done campaigns, right? Like Apple and Riddell and like some major brands. Can you talk about maybe how you came up with like usage fees and creative? Because I know a lot of consumer photographers, when they transition into commercial and commercial photographers themselves, they have a lot of questions on usage and creative fees. You know, what do I charge as a photographer for my creative fee, for essentially my day rate? What do I also charge for usage? How do I bill for usage? Where does that rate come from? I get a lot of photographers asking this all the time, or they don't even know what it means. So can you talk a little bit about that? Yeah,
so there is, I mentioned there is, and what Kevin's speaking into, there is a day rate. So if you're shooting an advertising job, the client, art buyer or agency producer, whoever you're dealing with, as an agent, or sometimes you will as a photographer, they'll ask you, what's your day rate? Like, and that's a dangerous question sometimes, because, you know, you could answer it and then they kind of think perhaps that's what you're going to shoot every particular job for, whether it's what Kevin said on Apple compared to a small, you know, computer company that's not like Apple. You know, obviously Apple's got a budget that can handle higher rates, and this other smaller company that's newer may not. So it really is coming up with a day rate for you. So if I'm a commercial photographer, and you could say, and I don't know if you looked at Kevin's budget while it was up on the screen, but it looked like his day rate was 5-digit, right? So that's his day to show up and do this photography. They say, oh, we're shooting, you know, people in a kitchen, you know, enjoying their iPad or their laptop or whatever it is, or their iPhone or whatever, and we want them, you know, having a conversation or you know, a lifestyle type interaction, and we're going to use it for consumer advertising. So you might say, okay, I could do that for $10,000 a day. That'd be my day rate. But then the art buyer says, well, that's great, but you know, we also want other media usages, and that's the key to where your rate can increase, like what Lance was talking about, into several $1,000s per hour. For example, they might say, we're thinking of doing outdoor billboards, or out of home, as they call it. And that could include bus stops and some other displays like that in public. They may also say, we want to do direct mail, or we want to do, if it's fashion, like Kevin was saying, he shoots a lot of fashion, we want to do hang tags that actually go on the clothes. Like when you go on the racks and you go shopping and you see all those beautiful little cards on the clothes, and it's got Kevin's picture or Lance's picture of their model on there. That's directly helping the merchandise sell, because someone sees that and they go, oh man, this is a beautiful garment. Wow, look at this card. They get excited. So that's also another kind of usage. And there'll be others. There's obviously social media. There's, other layers of usage. There could be regional. We're only going to use this in the West Coast. No, we're going to actually use this across the United States. Or no, we're going to use this internationally in these countries. We want England, France, Spain, or we want to use it in Asia. So there's all these different layers of usage possibilities. And then now what Kevin said was, how do you price that? Now you've established that I'm $10,000 a day to do this photography in this scenario I painted for Apple in this kitchen with these people interacting with the product. And now they want to use it in all these different medias. So I'm at $10,000 a day to do the photography. So I have to come up with pricing now for billboard and those other things I talked about. Maybe the packaging that goes with the computer, outside the box. And I have to come up with, the social media, and I have to come up with different regions or different countries. And that's all derived off your day rate. Okay, so it'll be a portion of that day rate for each usage. Now, how do you find that out? Where do you find that out? If you've joined any agencies that represent photographers as far as a collective, as far as let's call it a union, if you will, like APA or any of these other big ASMP, any of these organizations, they have a general guideline for estimating that you can look at that will show different kinds of usage that I'm speaking about to give you a ballpark idea. But it will be a portion of that day rate. So for example, we might negotiate for 1 year consumer, it's included in the 10,000 day rate, but for billboards for 1 year and you want the United States, that's another $10,000. Or it might be, no, we just want it for the region of Western, West Coast. So you might say, well, that's a portion of that, right? You come up with a price. You might say that's $5,000, let's say. And then you might have hang tags or counter cards or stuff that go in the store where Apple sells their product. And you might be pricing that also in fractions off that 10,000 day rate. Lastly, which Kevin didn't mention, is there's always this thing that they call, we want unlimited use. We just want to pay you, but we don't know what we're doing right now. We're not sure exactly what we're going to do with the pictures. We know it's going to be consumer. We know it's going to be social media. We know it's going to be on our website, stuff like that. But we can't, and we don't know if it's going to be international or not, but we want to have unlimited use of the picture. So now you're thinking, okay, well, that's certainly not going to be 10,000 for my day rate, because that was just to include the consumer advertising shot that we were doing in that kitchen. So now you've got to come up with, more or less either a buyout, which they own the licensing, which is very expensive because you lose your copyright. They can do whatever they want with it and never pay you another dime forever. And you can never use it again. You can never put it on your own promotional materials or sell it to a magazine or sell it to another client or, make other residual money off your photography. They would own it. But there is a thing called unlimited use, licensing. So we want this unlimited use, but the photographer retains the copyright. Now, those two prices are pretty high either way. But for example, if we were to sell Apple all the use forever, and that image, Kevin or Lance never owns it again, it's Apple's pictures, they get to do whatever they want with it, we might say, well, we told you our day rate was 10,000 to execute the picture and you get consumer advertising. But now to have unlimited marketing use, unlimited, copyright, like you own it, that's going to be $50,000, or, the photographer and the agent, in this case, I'm an agent, we'd talk about it. Or it might be, it might be 100,000. Now they might say, well, we don't really need to own the copyright. We just want to have, unlimited use of it. You can still do what you want with it. We're not going to restrict you. And then again, you just negotiate. So I guess to answer your question best, Kevin, it is a negotiation, and all of you are capable of that, because like what Lance was speaking into, your self-worth, your value, what you've done historically in photography, what you can deliver. So you come up with that rate for you and you expand from there. And when you get in those situations, which we all love to, where someone wants to use pictures for multiple licensing, like Kevin was speaking about, then you have to get pen to paper and work it out and look at these references. I told you about these APA or these other organizations. They have some guidelines. You could probably Google it simply and look at photographers' licensing fees, or, all of us are savvy on how to search stuff on the internet, and you will get some ideas. And Kevin has a budget up there that will show you some of what I was talking about and what he was asking about. And at that point where you get so busy, right, that this budgeting, estimating, negotiating with the client becomes too much because you're working literally every week, every day, that's when you come in and have an agent assist you or support you with that, or take it over for you. But in the beginning, while you're, building your career, building your reputation, these things you need to be aware of, and balance that between what am I worth and what kind of client is this, and can I get, what can I expect, and come up with a day rate. So Kevin, did that answer enough?
Yeah, that was a great way of answering it.
Okay.
And I wanted to show you guys two examples here of actually three examples of budgets. One of them is right here. So, Jay was talking about a day rate and then also usage. So I actually do it one of two ways. Sometimes I do a day rate plus usage. Sometimes I tie it all into one usage fee. So if you take a look here at the screen, this is a campaign that I was able to do with, this was actually like a pharmaceutical campaign for Namenda, and it was years ago. But I wanted to show this as a good example of usage fees, where essentially we had a photography at $5,000 a day for 4 days for photography, and then usage fee at $5,000 a day per select image. And this is an unlimited buyout for 7 select images. Now with this, I typically hate doing a buyout, because the buyout means that, essentially I can't go back and get more usage later on, right? That's kind of a bad thing for a photographer. But these days, even more so now, they're looking for that more and more. They're constantly looking for people to just do buyouts, because they don't know where they're going to use them. They're going to use them on social media. They're going to use them on print. They don't know what they're going to do with them, and they just want a buyout. And for photographers, it puts us in a difficult position, because a buyout is usually really expensive, and they may or may not be willing to pay for it. Now, in this case, I did a combination of a photographer fee of $5,000 a day for 4 days, so $20,000 for me as a photographer, 7 select images. Now, I priced these at also $5,000 a day, and I'm hoping that even though we negotiated for 7 select images, that later when it's all said and done, that they're going to want maybe 9 or 10 or 12 select images. Maybe the client wants more because they love the work so much. This would be a great opportunity, because now it's really easy. It's priced out at $5,000 per select image. That way, it's very cut and dry. It's easy to know. Okay, if we want 2 more, it's going to be 5,000 times 2. If you want 4 more, 5,000 times 4. So very, very easy to do. Also, I wanted to show a few other things, guys. I wanted to show not just creative and usage, but I also wanted to show you crew, what it costs for wardrobe, hairstyling, makeup artists, stylists, first assistant, second assistant. And this is a pared down budget. So this was actually trying to keep it fairly reasonable. But this is when we do a large scale production, this is the scale in which we shoot it at. This is the scale where the cost of doing those photo shoots is massive. It's a big production. Now, I believe this was set up for a 3-day shoot, and I'm charging for 4 days, because essentially I need like a prep day, right? So this is a 3-day shoot. Wardrobe also gets essentially 3 styling days plus, like, I think they usually bill at 50% of their day rate for a pull and 50% for return. So you can see the stylist here, wardrobe stylist, ends up being $1,200 a day for 4 days, $4,800. Hairstyle is $1,000 a day, and this ranges up to about $2,000, sometimes $2,500 a day for hairstylists, depending on the production. Makeup artist, same thing. First assistant, second assistant. Usually my assistants range in around the $300 a day range or so, and I typically have like 3 assistants at least. In this case, I had 2. And then location fees. There's, you got to pay for your location. You've got to sometimes pay for a scout. Sometimes you also have casting fees as well. Now, this is where, now these are hard costs. So this money right here, the crew, some photographers mark it up. I personally don't. I feel like my stylists are so dear to me. They're so valuable because you can't have a production without a styling team. That for me, I want to make sure that my stylists are happy. I want to make sure that I'm going to scratch their back, because a lot of times, like, I want the stylist to come and work with me on a little editorial which has no budget, or I want my stylist to come and, help me out on a portfolio shoot or a workshop shoot or something that doesn't have the same scale of budget as as something like this. This, I think, is all said and done $136,000 budget now for 3 days. So I'm essentially paying them back. This is my opportunity to pay back my stylists. And I think that that's really, really valuable to pay them back, because it keeps them happy and it keeps them coming back and doing opportunities that don't have the same budget. So you see I have a casting fee in here. I typically like to cast my own models. So I'll charge that to the client. I'll cast it directly. The talent fee, this is going to go directly to the modeling agencies. And then we also have wardrobe purchase. So here are some things that a lot of photographers don't realize, but there are ways to make more profit margin in photography. You notice all the rental gear, right? This is a total rental gear of $6,000. But I tell you what, I own all this gear. I own a lot of gear, and you probably do too. I mean, how many of you guys here, in this chat here, own your own cameras? Well, I bet you all do, right? How many own your own lighting gear? I bet a big chunk of you do. Maybe some of you do, some of you don't. Well, I tell you what, that costs you money to buy. So why are you not charging your client to use it? To me, that makes no sense. Every single time you do a shoot commercially, you are required to bill your client, because it costs you money to buy that photography gear. Well, you need to bill your client to charge for that photography gear without question. Okay. And make sure to charge the list price. So what I like to do, I'm based in Los Angeles, and I like to make sure that, I'm going to get a fair price. So I'm going to give a list price, and that's going to be, I'm going to go to Sammy's Camera in LA, and I'm going to take their pricing list, and I'm going to go right from their pricing list. And this is going to be, typical pricing for, for what that equipment is at Sammy's Camera, right? Of all the equipment I'm going to use. And I'm always updating my own gear too. So you have to check in and see, oh, what are they pricing the new equipment at, et cetera. And this is super important. We do the same thing on video productions and photography. So this $6,000, this goes into my pocket. Okay, this $6,000, this is mine. This is another profit margin right here. Same thing goes with wardrobe purchase. A lot of times a client will authorize a wardrobe purchase. So essentially they're like, okay, wardrobe stylist, you can go and pull clothes, but we're also going to give you $3,500 to go buy clothes. Now, they're not expecting this money to come back, but I tell you what, if you hold on your receipts, you can return it. And I typically, on every shoot that I do, I typically buy between $10,000 to $20,000 in clothes. Okay. And I might even put it on my own credit card, but if a client is giving me a budget, I'm going to go and buy the clothes, use them for the shoot, and then I return them. It doesn't cost me anything. It's zero cost. And oftentimes if you're making a big purchase, it's also free to ship it and free to return it, right? So I am going to do a wardrobe purchase, and that $3,500 going right back into my pocket. Also, I'm typically going to bill my client for insurance, because we all need liability insurance. That's critical. And you know what? It costs me each year to pay for this insurance. So I'm going to bill my client for that. And they don't question it. And if I go up, so we're going to calculate, okay, here's my photographer fee. In this case, photographer's fee plus usage fee, that's $55,000. Plus I'm looking at my location fee. So if, for instance, I own my own studio, then this also goes into my pocket. Plus, I'm going to also scout it. If I have a location is a property that I'm scouting for or whatever, that would go in my pocket. And then the rentals also goes into my pocket. Insurance goes into my pocket. And then the wardrobe purchase. And then the casting fee. So essentially, this is a pretty substantial amount of the budget that's going to be profit. And I want you guys to think about this. This is where the money's made. I'm going to show you an example of a more recent campaign. And I want to show you an example of this because I think this is really important to not only showcase a bid or an invoice to a client, I want you guys to also create a proposal. And what I mean by that is don't just show them numbers, okay? Because clients, you know, if it's just numbers, then you don't want to play the number game. You don't want to be the cheapest photographer. You want to be, or filmmaker. In this case, this is a commercial that I did. It was a $100,000 budget for 2 days. And this was for Unice. It's like an African-American hair brand. And so I wrote up my, essentially, you know, this is like my treatment. And I'm the director and cinematographer for this, right? So I brought in an epic hairstylist named Rico Jackson, who he is literally one of the greatest hairstylists in the country. He was a creative director from L'Oreal, and he and I actually worked on, it was his brainchild. He came up with this whole book on African-American celebrities and the truth behind their hair. And I had worked on him with him. And for, you know, I was like, okay, if the brand is African-American hair and weaves, let's bring in the hairstylist that's the expert in that field. So we brought him into the table, and wow, did that impress the client when I showed that in the proposal. I also am bringing in my partner, Max Rosen, with Indigo Productions in New York, who is a top-tier executive producer. Obviously, here's myself, executive producer and TV director. I'm the executive producer and TV director of the TV show Great Escapes. I'm also the TV host of it that airs on the CW and NBC. And then I bring in Dave Kamens, who is a 4-time Emmy Award-winning writer and producer. So for me, I'm like, okay, I'm going to stack the deck here. I'm not going to just show them numbers. I'm going to show them an epic production, right? Now I'm going to write a treatment. Now I wrote this treatment out. This is like essentially the format. They wanted one like 2-minute web campaign and then 4 30-second broadcast commercials. Here's where it gets interesting, guys. The usage. They wanted web, social, and that's it. They wanted web and social. $100,000 for that, okay? Now, we also put in here optional broadcast commercial usage because you know what? I know that the commercial is going to be absolutely epic. They're going to want to use it for more than just social. And I know that the client has locations opening in both New York and LA. So we talked about, okay, let's also handle the media buy. So instead of dealing with this client just as a director, and I'm the production company coming in, just like I was a photographer coming in, instead of just coming in and dealing with it and just doing the shoot, I'm like, no, I want to handle the media buy. So if this goes broadcast, I'm going to get a piece of the action. And that's where the real money is made. That's why there's billions of dollars in advertising, because it's all in the media buy. And we're going to get back to that with the actual fees of media buy and at negotiating into the contract a percentage of the media buy that I'm making, plus a usage fee on the purchase of the media buy. And in the back end, I'm going to negotiate with the Spectrum Reach, which is essentially where I'm doing the media buy to. I have a relationship with them, and I'm going to negotiate a 10 to 15% back end deal with them to bring the client to them. So effectively, if it's $1 million budget, I could effectively make almost 40% on top of the production budget.
And can I just say that with this proposal, you're actually adding value to the client as well, which they might not even know about. You mentioned you bring in like the best team, and when you do that, you
First
can
thing
start
you notice about
and make the money from that.
my hair.
Exactly, Lance. And you know what? This is the example they wanted. They love the Dove campaign. They wanted it to be about hair. They wanted it to be about real girls. How do they feel about themselves and about their hair? So they wanted this kind of look and feel, but then they kind of also wanted it a little bit more slick. They kind of wanted it a little bit more high end, right? So, okay, well, you bring Kevin Michael Schmitz, a fashion and beauty director, to the table. We can do that. So this is an example of one that's a little bit more slick. These are all examples. And now we have something very similar. It's another interview type of thing, but it's a little bit more like a L'Oreal campaign where it's all about the hair, African-American girl, it's really pretty, talking about herself and feeling good about herself, right? So we're kind of going, okay, we're going to meld something between the two. And so I have all these examples, right? These are all examples of possible campaigns. Now I'm going to break them down. Here are the products. Okay, so it's Ice New. It's going to be Kissis. It's going to be Banacoo. And it's going to be Bet You. And they all have different age demographics. So I'm writing all of this out so the client knows I'm on the same page as them. And here's the campaign budget. Okay. So now we're dealing with and here is where it gets interesting. Okay, so the total budget right here, I'm gonna go down to the bottom, it's $99,900. Okay, now when we're actually going through it, we want to look at some of these things like, okay, in the negotiation here, I had negotiated that the option, so it's $100,000 as is for web and social. However, if they want to go broadcast, I'm going to get right here a 15% of the media buy for usage of the creative media for broadcast television, plus 10% of media buy for the buying services to purchase the ad spots on local or national TV networks. And I'm also going to be now, like I mentioned, I have a deal with Spectrum Reach. So if I bring this to the table, they're going to give me another 15% back. So essentially it's a 40% on that purchase on top of the $100,000. Okay. Now, another thing I want to be really clear about, all of you photographers and directors, make sure that you get 100% of your production expenses upon booking and 50% of creative fees upon booking. The remaining 50%, they can be due upon delivery of the product, or some ad agencies might make you do 30 to 90 days afterwards. But make sure you're not bankrolling that production. Because Jay, I know you've probably dealt with this, right? Where if maybe that wasn't done right, and then now as the director or photographer, we have to bankroll it. Well, that's a hassle. If the money doesn't come in, I don't want to bankroll their production.
No.
Exactly. Is that effectively the way you do it?
Happens where they expect photographers or production companies to foot the bill, if you will. But you have to be very careful with that because, a lot of times what is said in passing, if it's not contractually like what Kevin's showing you on your estimate and already agreed to, you could get caught holding that and not getting reimbursed. So definitely have to protect yourself and be, you don't have to be a jerk about it or whatever with the client, but you have to say, hey, we could do that change. We could do whatever it is that you need to have done. We could expand it. And then have if you're your own producer or if you have a producer on the set, then they go to the client and say, to do that, no problem. It's X dollars. I need you to sign this before we can proceed. That's a little difficult for you to do as a photographer because you're with the client trying to make it all happen and be on the, good relations. Sometimes that's when it's important, again, to have an agent, but not impossible for you to have those overages. It's a little form you could have, simple. You can handwrite it on the set. You don't have to pull out your laptop and all that. Overage X amount for this particular shot or this particular usage.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jay. So you know what, guys, I'm getting all kinds of amazing questions and I want to answer some of these now because I think that this is super important. And while I'm answering these questions, I also want to just show you the product, the final product of essentially what we did, what this actually turned out to be, because this is a real campaign. So if we take a look, we looked at the budget, right? And then I also want to showcase essentially not just what we did here, but I also want to show you not only like what the campaign looked like, but I also want to showcase to you what the actual final product is going to look like. Because I think that that's important for us to kind of know, like, okay, if we have, what does $100,000 budget commercial spot actually look like, right? So let's look at that. And, in that way, you guys can kind of understand. And you'll see also that essentially I added a huge amount of value to the client because I did this I shot like a really high-end production that was more on like a $300,000 or $400,000 scale for the $100,000 budget to get them excited. So here is essentially the 2-minute version of this.
So I'd compare myself a lot to other girls who look nothing like me.
So what we did is we dialed each campaign into an emotion, a feeling, and an idea. So essentially, we dialed each brand to identify with confidence, with independence, with elegance. We dialed this into something where it was inspiring and empowerment for a woman. And we wanted the viewer to feel like, you know what? If I have this product, I can feel this way. I can feel empowered. I can feel independent, elegant, confident.
So I think the beauty that expands itself and the beauty that
so this is the 2-minute web version, which essentially I think 2 minutes is way too long, but this is what the client was looking for. So we dialed it into a 2-minute clip. I think even on web, it should be no more than 45 seconds to a minute, but this is what they were looking for. Because people aren't going to pay attention for this long. But we made it, you know, we made it lovable. We made it lifestyle. This is super in right now, guys. Lifestyle, high energy, fun, playful. This is hit. This is really hit for 2020. And I would highly recommend each and every one of you build a photographic and video reel that is in line with this lifestyle slice of life. In fact, this was shot in Laguna Niguel and Newport Beach, exactly like what we are doing at the Newport Beach workshop in May, which I think will be absolutely key for you guys to take part in, because it will blow your mind and you can create content at the same level, look and feel and quality as this. Because we actually did, I believe when we did this, we did a Newport Beach workshop at this exact location and shot it exactly like this. And we're gonna do something even more incredible this year. So that gives you an idea. And then, you know, we have these 4 30-second versions of it that are for broadcast. So that'll give you an idea. So it's kind of edited down into these 4 30-second versions.
I don't believe in myself.
And then you can see like the logo and brand.
If you're having a
so nowadays, clients want to have you do both the photographic campaign and the video campaign. So I highly recommend that you do both if you can. You guys all own cameras that can shoot in 4K video now. I mean, without question, they all do it. So why not? Why not offer that? Why not build that reel? That's what I can help you with. Not only do the photographic side and the big campaign work, but also the video side that will completely take it to the next level.
And by offering both photo and video, you also get to increase your profitability as well. And by adding value to the client, you can charge more. And with that type of proposal and have all that presented, usually they don't question how much you charge them.
Definitely. Now I have a few questions I want to answer. First, the first one is an easy one. This one was it was posed about sales tax. Which is kind of an interesting question, and it also depends on what state you're in. But Jennifer Taylor says, do you put sales tax on what you charge the client? And the answer is no, because we're going to be offering the final product as a digital transfer. So if it's a digital transfer in most states, there is no sales tax that you have to bill to the. Now they're trying to change that, guys. They're trying to change that. So hopefully it doesn't, because it really hurt us as photographers and directors and producers. But as of now, for instance, where I live in California, there is no sales tax. So don't worry about that unless you provide them with a physical piece. So for instance, if you give them a print, there are taxes on prints because you're physically giving them a product. But if it's not a physical product, it's a service and it's digital, it's a lot different. So on this $100,000 budget, they'd be pretty pissed if I had to charge them, you know, approximately a 10% California sales tax on that. And that's, you know, so we're going to do a digital transfer. And that brings me to the next point. Charge them a digital transfer fee, because tell you what, it costs me, because I own like 46 external hard drives, 8 terabyte external hard drives. Those are expensive. It costs me to store this digital content. So I'm going to charge my client to do a digital transfer. And if they ever ask you about that, you can explain it and be like, listen, you don't want to pay sales tax on this, do you? So I'm saving you effectively $10,000, And you can, you know, but I have to do a digital transfer fee because it takes time, and it also takes space on my hard drive that costs me money because I store all my photographs and video in triplicate. And I recommend each and every one of you guys all do. I personally recommend the Western Digital 8 terabyte external hard drives that have an external power source. Please don't ever use regularly any external hard drive that does not have an external power source, like those little portable ones. I have lost maybe 7 or 8 of those to failure. But my all my external 8 terabyte Western Digital hard drives that don't have that actually have an external power source and AC adapter, I've never lost one in 15 years, not one. So that would be my suggestion. I also keep them all in triplicate so that I can keep them and also at different locations to make sure that I don't lose that content. Okay, a next question. Giovanni has asked us a few questions here, and he, to me, Giovanni, you mentioned that he says, I'm listening to everything you say. However, you are 1,000 times better than me. So it's helpful advice, but mostly in the future, a little in their present, but I could have where I am it's confusing the way he's writing this.
I can answer this.
How that would benefit him. So Giovanni, I think that that's a great question. A lot of our photographers and directors have the same problem. They're like, you know what? This all looks amazing, but how can I price myself at $176,000? How can I do a $100,000 2-day job? Well, I tell you what, when you come to our upcoming workshop, April 22nd, 23rd, 24th in Miami Beach, and you shoot with Sports Illustrated swimsuit models that have been in the Guest campaign. Last year we had Haley Maxfield, the cover of Playboy, and then shooting with literally some of the biggest supermodels in the world. Well, it kind of takes you to the next level. It kind of gives you the opportunity to essentially shoot the best images and video you've ever shot in your lifetime, and you can compete at that level.
Yeah, that's important what you're saying, because it's production value, guys, what Kevin's speaking about. Creative directors, art buyers, clients can tell, looking at your photographs or looking at your film, they can tell like what kind of crew you hired, what kind of models that you hired, what kind of locations that you booked. All that production value brings you to that next level that Kevin's talking about.
And also, when you go to these workshops as well, you get to take that knowledge with you and apply it to where you are. So I know some of you are probably thinking, I'm just a photographer out of Chicago or Illinois or whatever, and I'm a mother, and how can I get to this level right here? Well, for one, definitely attend the workshops, because you definitely do get the best images of your life and the knowledge you could take to increase production value at where you're at. So you may be thinking, I can't get a Pepsi campaign, but there's some businesses around me that I could bring the same type of production value and own the businesses and get the business around me. So, and that's what I would suggest for some of you guys as well. It's just, even though you may not get like a Pepsi campaign today, use that same knowledge for every shoot you do. Get that practice in, get that knowledge, use that knowledge to increase your portfolio, increase your business. And then when these big campaigns come, when you attend these workshops and get the knowledge and get the connections, then you don't have to worry about, will I perform well? Because you already have the portfolio, you already have the images there. So right now we're looking at this is my personal website, and this is the cover of it. And you actually, some of these images are from the workshop, but some of these are not. And it's because I took the same knowledge and took the same drive into all these other businesses. And they see this work, because before the workshop, my website looked nothing like this. My website looked nothing like this. So when I have these images on here now from the workshop, I'm adding value to my portfolio. And then local businesses around me, I'm from Greenville, South Carolina. And I don't know if y'all know where that is. It's on the East Coast. And it's not like a big city, not a big metropolis like LA, New York, Miami, but there's businesses here and it's growing. And I'm one of the few photographers here that has these lifestyle images. And because they know that, they say, oh, Lance has these images that no one else in my city has. No one else is doing lifestyle like this. So that way I can hire him. Now, some of y'all probably also do weddings as well, or portraiture, or maybe there's a boutique down the street that you can work with. Same thing applies. If you're having weddings, for example, you can apply that type of lifestyle dynamic imagery into your wedding or portraiture photography. That will set you apart from everyone else in your area. And that way you can not only get all the business, but you can raise your price as well. When you meet a wedding client, for example, same thing, get into the habit of preparing a proposal. Maybe you have a wedding contract, it's like one page. Don't just do that. Great proposal saying like, this is the equipment that I'm using, this is what I have planned for you guys. Yes, I have the weddings mapped out and everything, but these type of images I can provide for you. And also, wedding videography is big. And I charge $3,000 just to start, just even consider it, just for wedding videography alone. So build that in there. And once they see the quality and the content that you have provided in your portfolio as a whole, it will change your game and you will stand out above all the rest. And then come to the workshops as well, because not only you'll dominate the area that you're in, but you'll get so many amazing images. You meet so many amazing people. Not only that, Kevin, I've talked to you, I've talked to and some people on your staff as well throughout the year to say, hey, I have a question about this, or hey, how's my website look? Y'all give me advice about that as well. So it's not just a one-time hit it, quit it, leave. They are here to help you even after the workshop.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that, Lance, because we are here dedicated to our photographers, literally dedicated deeply to each and every one of our photographers. And Lance can attest to this. And also Jay has been a panelist at in our workshops, and Jay has actually been there a few times over the years as and he's met a lot of our photographers. But me personally, I love doing this. I love inspiring. I love mentoring photographers and videographers, and I love taking it to the next level. Not just in the business side of photography, maximizing profitability, but also actually on set, commanding a set. And one of the things I specialize more than anything is art direction. And what I mean by that is directing the models and art directing the scene. So when you're doing a big photo shoot, making sure that the models are getting into that moment, that feeling, that energy, whether it's fashion, whether it's lifestyle, but essentially art directing and coaching the talent into it, and art directing the scene so that you can shoot something that also looks cohesive and interesting. Because a lot of times, you know, we'll cast, say, 4 supermodels that have been in Vogue and Harper's Bazaar, and we have them styled to the 9 with executive creative director from L'Oreal on hair. We'll have a stylist from Vogue. We'll have America's Next Top Models makeup artist in this massive scale production at a $15 billion mansion. And then the photographer's like, what do I do? How do I light this? How do I art direct it? How do I coach the models? Especially if there's more than one model, which most photographers, it's like if you're a portrait photographer, it's easy to shoot one single person, you know, or a wedding where it's already done. It's already there. You're capturing the moment, or it's just the bride and groom, or it's a family that you heard together. But essentially, how do we art direct a multi-model situation? Okay. To me, that is absolutely so important, because I think that if you don't make that your absolute critical, most important facet, then, you know, I don't know what else to do. I think that the images fall flat. They completely fall flat if it's not essentially going to be the most art directed and beautiful imagery and video that's art directed in a proper way and really capturing the talent, right? That's absolutely critical. So, by the way, guys, these upcoming workshops are absolutely mind-blowing. I put a poll on here as far as which workshops you guys are most interested in. I recommend clicking on these links, or at least going to our website, photographyworkshopseries.com. And I'd like you guys to get in there and take a look at which workshops we have. I'm going to go ahead and type it in here, but essentially, I want everyone in here to go to photographyworkshopseries.com. And I want to make sure that you guys take a look and see for yourselves some of the epic production that we have going on right now. Okay, what is happening in April in Miami Beach is completely mind-bending. Okay, it is something where we're going to be, just like you saw with Lance Andrews here, he had this amazing experience, and the images he shot were insane. And the video production, we're also able to give to you guys, and you can use that in your portfolio.
And with the images in my portfolio, I've made the money back just by able to just use images to market myself. So you may look at it and be like, well, I don't know. I promise you that once you go there, you get these images and you'll book bigger jobs, and you'll be more confident in those bigger jobs. And also you'll be more confident in working with multiple models at the same time. It'll just set you apart. It really will.
Exactly. So the image that's on the screen right now, this is essentially what I want each and every one of you to create a body of work with lifestyle advertising that looks like this feeling. Essentially, I want you to be inside of the scene with the talent, creating and art directing a moment that's going to come to life, that you're going to capture, that is going to be, wow, I want to be a part of that. It's energetic. It's emotive. It's evocative. It's lit with a really beautiful, fresh feel, and it does not look posed. This is the kind of art direction that I'm talking about. And this is what we're going to have at the Newport Beach workshop in Orange County in May. And this one, I believe this one's either sold out or almost sold out. But I highly recommend you guys stick around to the end of this webinar, because we're going to be offering the most insane offer we've ever done at any of our workshop series. And we're going to be doing 2 different offers. We're going to, because we have so many amazing past and current enrolled photographers, especially the ones that are enrolled right now in an epic photographic workshop. And I know many of you are on right now actually watching this. I want to make sure that I'm going to reward you if you're already enrolled. And this goes out to people like Cynthia and Jeffrey and Adam and Robert and all of you guys that are on here, and Terry, all of you guys that are on here watching this amazing webinar. I'm going to give you guys a little something special. What I'm going to offer you, we've never done this before, but for any of you who are currently enrolled in any upcoming workshop in 2020, even if you just enrolled in one, or if you've enrolled in one months ago that's coming up in 2020, I'm going to give you guys a $500 discount. Plus, I'm going to give you the newest photography asset Dropbox that's going to include, it's what I was actually working on earlier and showing you guys, bids on campaigns, actual real life campaigns, the full itemized budget of what we're going to do in on a massive scale production, because to me, that is absolutely critical to have that body of work, or to be able to bid on a campaign. And we also are going to include retouching methods. We're going to have an advanced retouching video. We're going to have examples of how to communicate to decision makers at ad agencies and magazines. It offers a whole host of extremely valuable photographic assets, some of the most valuable you'll ever have in your career. And we're going to send this Dropbox to you. We're going to give you the $500 discount, and we're going to give you a free 30-minute photographic consult if you enroll in the next 24 hours. And this is something we've never done before, but we really are excited about what we have coming up. The workshops are all almost sold out. And I want to make sure that we're going to reward, especially those photographers like Lance and all the rest that are enrolled in upcoming workshops, that I want to make sure that you guys have an opportunity to continue that journey. And that's actually why we call this the Photography Workshop Series, because we believe that it does help to have a series of these epic workshops, because at each workshop, I'll give you an example of what each experience is like. And on day one, for instance, here at the Elite Masterclass, this is on the Elite Masterclass right here. This image was shot at the Elite Masterclass with a supermodel from Vogue. We shot with parachutes at Weesis Pieces on location, and it was equivalent to a $100,000 a day production. I had the creative director from L'Oreal on hair. I had America's Next Top Model's makeup artist. We shot with this model from Vogue, and we had 3 other models, world-class top fashion models that had been in Elle and Harper's Bazaar. These are examples of other past ones. We shot at LA Circus, where it's the largest circus set in the world, and it's near LA, and we had an entire circus set for our production. We also had models that had been in Vogue and Elle and Harper's Bazaar. as well as actually Charlotte Burke she's actually like a celebrity model. She's on TV shows on HBO and Showtime. And here's some more imagery from what we just did in November at the masterclass. It's mind-blowing, okay? This is the greatest imagery. When you attend our workshops, you will shoot the greatest imagery of your lifetime that you'll walk away with. And we're on day one, we're gonna bring in this world-class panel. We're gonna have amazing panelists, just like Jay Foster. We're gonna have major top photography agents, creative directors from ad agencies. We're gonna have major photo editors from magazines. We had the photo editor from Emmy Magazine, Treats Magazine. We've had Cosmo. We've had Flaunt. We've had major publications. The photo editors that are the decision makers at those magazines, actually at the workshop. We're gonna have 7 of some of the biggest decision makers in LA at that workshop. And we're gonna film it with a world-class video production team, okay? So we're going to give you the opportunity to work with our team of camera operators. We're gonna essentially have a production team where it's about $150,000 motion picture cameras we're gonna have on set that you can shoot an epic video reel. Just like this one we did for Flaunt Magazine and the brand Gents. It's epic. And I want you to have that opportunity as well, to work with top tier models, to shoot video content, and to walk away with content like this that just will completely take you to the next level. And I believe so strongly.
If I could jump in real quick, Kevin, that answers something that one of your people asked on the Q&A was like, hey, you're 1,000 times better than me. Like, can you give me something a little more realistic or whatever it is? Well, guys, what Kevin's talking about and what art buyers and art directors notice that I was talking about earlier is that production value. And what would you rather practice? In this case, if you're not ready to start doing your own big productions and know how they work and how to resource like Kevin does with top models, top crew, top locations, to get that look in your work like you see here on the screen, why not practice something like this? If you're going to practice what you can get comfortable at that's of the higher level, and not hold yourself small like, oh, I can only do these little portraits of family people in the neighborhood. Yes, if you keep practicing that, that's probably what you'll continue to get. And you will get a reputation and people will book you for that. You'll get busy, but like Lance said earlier, you'll be like, God, this just isn't enough. I'm not happy. This isn't what I want. So these opportunities, Kevin's giving you a discount. Can you produce something like this on your own? Great. But if you're saying, you know what? Wow. Like the person asking on the Q&A, like, okay, Kevin, you're 1,000 times better, but give me something. How do I get better? This is the answer, guys, because when you walk into that meeting at an ad agency and put the material on the table or up on the wall, they will notice the production value. And these editors and photography magazines, like fashion magazines and stuff, they will see your work when you go in those meetings and go, this person can handle 6 models on the streets of New York or on the beach in Miami or whatever it is. So it's a great opportunity, and it may be what answers your question about how do I get better and how do I qualify for bigger and better opportunities. Thanks, Kevin. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, that's what you're here for, man. I love hearing from you. So
Kevin, Kevin, it's Reza, real quick. We had Bert on there who had a great question, and he wanted to know how many people participated in the webinar. So I know there's a lot of workshops out there, and people fill up a whole auditorium. So maybe talk about the fact how we are so selective and the size of the workshops.
Great question. So we are highly selective about these workshops because you know what? To me, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've directed so many of these, 120 of these workshops. I want to make sure, and they all get sold out anyways. I mean, year after year, they all get sold out. So for me, it's really important that the quality is world-class. And I want to make sure what I mean by that is we're highly selective about our photographers that attend. And that's why 80% of our attendees have attend between 2 and 5 workshops a year. So it's not like we just have a bunch of random people come each time and then they take a workshop and they leave. It's every workshop is almost the entire workshop is past attendees. And the Miami Beach workshop, for instance, Bert, that you're attending in April is no exception. So we have a limit of 10. We never allow any more than that. We're very, very selective about the workshops. And sometimes we even limit it to like 8. So we're very, very selective. It depends on which workshop and where we're going. So we're highly intensive, exclusive. It's going to be very hands-on. It's going to be very one-on-one. Each one of you is going to be commanding a set and photographing the greatest images you've ever shot in your life in swim, in lifestyle, in fashion, and creating a body of work that's going to be mind-blowing. And Bert, I can't wait to work with you. I know we've talked extensively, and I think you're going to be an absolute perfect fit for it. It's going to be so much fun in Miami Beach. In fact, Miami is usually everyone's favorite workshop of the year because it's so epic in Miami. And going down there, to give you an idea of the last workshops we've done in Miami, we've done them at the Setai, we've done them at the Fontainebleau, the Nobu Eden Rock, we've done them at the Four Seasons. And last year we had this epic multi-million-dollar mansion on the beach in Key Largo, and we shot with these supermodels from Guess, Playboy. We had Miss Brazil. I mean, the talent was just out of this world. So we're going to do something even more insane this year, and the production's going to be out of this world. And I know some of our guys, like you guys, and many of you that are attending this webinar, also remember the last webinar we had Chad Chisholm and Adam Friedman. I know Adam is attending the Miami workshop and the Newport Beach workshop this year. So you guys will see him there, and I can't wait because he is an absolute juggernaut, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen because you know, we're going to be creating something that's going to be absolutely mind-blowing. And you know, and just to give you an idea, Adam attended the last Elite Masterclass, and he won the top 10 fashion photographer of the year in the One Island Awards from what he shot at the Elite Masterclass in 2019. So this, you can see right here, this is all from Adam Friedman. Shot these at the Elite Masterclass. He was our panelist at our last webinar a few weeks ago. And you can see what he shot and what was published. And this is a really big deal. We're dealing with One Island has some of the most incredible world-class photographers, and our images from the workshop became the winning images in One Island, which is, I think, pretty spectacular. And we've published, I don't know, about 175 magazine editorials now, and it's exceptional without question. In fact, even the imagery that you saw on this invitation that you guys, each and every one of you received, is our latest publication from one of our photographers, Veronica Jankowski, from what she shot at our New York workshop. And she just published that in Vintage Magazine. And if you guys want to take a look, this was just published by Veronica Jankowski, all of these images here. So the opportunity to get published is huge. And Jay, why don't you talk a little bit about that, why that's important for a photographer to get published?
It comes back to credibility. It comes back to familiarity with you. Let's face it, prospective clients of any level, they need to find out about you. So what's the best way to find out about you is to see your work. You got to get your work in front of them somehow. You know, I saw a question on here about, is it important to put images on social media platforms? Absolutely. It's important to put your images on everything possible that you can, whether it's social media, your website, direct mail, you know, whatever it is, any marketing material that you can do, little pamphlets, etc. Critical, because no one's going to hire you unless they know who you are. And how are they going to know who you are is by seeing your work. So I think what Kevin's saying is, you know, what's the best way and why is that important? It's critical. If your work doesn't get seen, who's going to hire you, right? I mean, that's pretty simple. It sounds simple and cliche, but it's so accurate. And as people see your images, then what's important is building relationships, right? Because now that at least they've seen it, they say, hey, I saw your work on social media. Hey, I got your direct marketing piece, you know, your email or your direct actually in the mail, snail mail, or I saw you at, you know, I saw you at a workshop gathering or a, you know, portfolio review, like out in Palm Springs or whatever it is. They start to get to know you, art buyers, art directors, clients, editors. Then you don't want to go away, right? Because then why is it important? you got to stay in front of them somehow. So having the opportunity, again, back to the workshops of high production value photography, if they see that consistently from you, you have a greater chance of getting hired for that dream job that you want, or just the next job that you want, or even the first job that you're after. So yes, getting your photography in front of people, critical and important. And if you want to be successful, it's like a must.
And Jay, you probably agree with this, that you have to be very selective of what images you put out there as well.
Great
That's
point.
on social media. So do you think so correct?
Great point. Yes, Lance, right on. One thing that I was at one of Kevin's, I was one of his panelists at a recent workshop, and one of the things I spoke about was, and I looked at some portfolios after, some of the attendees wanted me to look at portfolios and give them feedback. And one of the things that I said to them is, you present the best pictures that you can present. So don't present like, oh, I need to have 20, or I need to have 50, or I need to have, a certain number. Because of most of them, or majority of them, aren't that quality, aren't that beautiful lighting, or that what Kevin was talking about, that expression of lifestyle, or incredible production value or something. If it's just, let's say an average picture, let's be honest with each other and say, okay, that's just an average picture, shouldn't be in your work, shouldn't be on your Instagram. Yeah, great point about that, Lance.
And even for myself right now, I mean, I still have to go back on my website and go through photos, and I can't be attached to. There's some photos that have some emotional attachment, like, oh, I did this great photo back in the day. This remind me of, I have to a hard look at it, be like, will this benefit me? And will this look good to a prospective client? If I'm trying to reach the client for Pepsi or for Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, when they see this photo, what are they going to think? Is it a high fashion photo or a glorified senior portrait? and it's hard to make that judgment, but sometimes you just have to make those hard decisions. And when you do, it'll benefit you guys greatly.
Yeah, and that's great, Lance. And a key thing, guys, at least for me, and I think why Kevin invited me onto this webinar. When I look at photographers approach me all the time to represent them. And when I see their link, or when I see their direct mail, if they send me something in the mail, or send me an email with a link, the first thing I look for is what Lance was just talking about. What is the impact of photo to photo to photo? And then what is the quality of that photo to photo to photo, whether it's lighting, or again, expression, or essence, and then of course, are they just shooting, headshots, or are they actually doing more production value? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with shooting headshots. I think it's a great training. It's, you can learn a lot from just doing that and perfecting it, and make a little money, like Kevin was talking about earlier, at model agencies and such. But critical to put the best pictures, and like what Lance was saying, don't be attached to something you did that you were really super proud of. If when you ask your friends and other associates about pictures, and if they don't give you that feedback that you think that picture deserves, probably shouldn't be in your book.
Let's see, I think there was another question in here.
Oh, there's a million of them. I want to go through, and thank you very much, Jay. That was a really, really great question. I actually just want to mention a few comments here. James Atchison, he says, I've done 5 workshops, and he had a blast at them all. And thank you, James, because your work is absolutely spectacular. I'm really proud of you. The kind of photography you've created at the workshops is completely mind-bending. I'm so proud of you, and it's incredible. James did workshops all over the country. I didn't think he did Miami. I think he did LA, the masterclass. He did New York. I think he also did like Dallas and Chicago. I mean, he did the gamut. And that's the beauty of this, is that we do workshops all over America so that you can build that body of work so it doesn't look like you're just local to one region. So a guy like Lance, you live in South Carolina, live in the South, like it's great to have content from Los Angeles, to have it from New York, to have it from Miami, to have it from Chicago, to have these different bodies, because it shows that you're a national photographer, that you're a world-class photographer. I think that's really key.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, you know, I want to make sure you guys realize how important that is. And for guys like you, James, as well, we also need to take it up to the next level for 2020. Because even if we built this amazing body of work 3 years ago, 4 years ago, whatever, we need fresh work all the time. That's one of the big reasons I do these workshops, is because, you know what, every couple months I'm building massive scale production, new fresh work in my own portfolio, and I'm booking campaigns from it. I'm booking commercials, television opportunities, photographic ad campaigns. I'm shooting editorials, and I'm booking it because my work is constantly growing, because I have the opportunity to participate in the workshop series. It's an amazing experience, because we're pooling resources together to shoot $100,000 a day production. And to me, that's a huge benefit for you guys, because if you're gonna come on set, for instance, the masterclass, and shoot some of the greatest images you've ever shot in your lifetime, like Adam Friedman did, and he got published in One Island, that scale of production, to do 2 shoots like that, which is essentially what it is, that's $200,000 production level. And if you're maybe to do it really cheap and scrounge and maybe, you know, really try to work it, like I've had a few photographers do that, and that have done that and talked to me about that. They're usually maybe spending $30,000, $40,000, and it still doesn't look at the same level of quality as what we produce at the workshops, because of my relationships and connections that I can give to you guys. And it kind of catapults you to that next level. So that's why I think it's amazing. And I know, like, for instance, Cynthia Atuso, I know that you and your dad are probably on this right now, and I can't wait to work with you. You've signed up for 2 upcoming workshops, and that's why this is one of the reasons I wanted to throw this special out for you guys, is and all of you other past attendees or current attendees that are enrolled in upcoming workshops. I want to give you an opportunity to have a huge discount to add that, for instance, in Cynthia's case, a 3rd workshop, to come to that epic workshop at the Elite Masterclass and do that with a special $500 discount, and to set up additional consults with me as well. And for those of you guys who have not enrolled in a workshop yet, we're also offering a special $300 discount for any upcoming workshop in 2020. And we're going to give you access to that photography asset Dropbox. We're going to give you a free photographic mentorship consultation that I'd like to set up for this coming week, so that we can get you completely going, rocking and rolling, and catapulting in your career. I know, Lance, we've done this together. He's shaking his head. He's like, yeah. And we've gone through his images. And like I said, you know, we stick with you before the workshop, during the workshop, and even after the workshop, to make sure that you're hitting the goals that you're going to set forth. And we're going to work with you to develop a photographic business strategy plan, so that you can take it to the next level. So if any of you guys want to get involved, let's make sure that happens within the next 24 hours. Shoot us a message right now. On this chat here, we'll get you guys set up with that special for any photographer that's enrolled in an upcoming workshop. We're going to give you a $500 discount if you enroll in the next 24 hours. For anyone who's a fresh new photographer, we're going to give you a $300 discount. And but you got to act in the next 24 hours. So make sure to hit us up, and we'll get you guys all set up and registered. But I'm super excited for each and every one of you. And I wanted to talk about, and also, if you guys want to know all the prices, all of the photography workshops coming up, the investment in it in 2020 is $58.90 to do that 3-day workshop. And that includes developing an epic body of work, developing your portfolio on day 1. We usually have a couple of expert panelists, like major photography agents, creative directors, some ad agencies, photo editors, even publicists. At our Elite Masterclass, we'll bring 7 of these most elite decision makers. And all of it is to help you design a strategy for your photographic goals. Now, if it's going to be a fine art photographer, you're going to be a consumer photographer, a wedding photographer, a commercial photographer, fashion photographer, swim photographer, boudoir photographer, whatever it is, we will help you, and we will help you galvanize to the next level in your photography. We'll talk about how to maximize profitability in each sector of that business. Okay, and make sure you're maximizing it, and giving you the capability to be, you know what, if you come to the New York workshop, you're not just a wedding photographer that happens to shoot a little fashion on the side. I want you to be a world-class fashion photographer that also happens to shoot weddings. Just like Veronica Yankowski is, just like Mary Peacock is, just like a lot of our photographers that do shoot weddings, but you know what? You're branded as a world-class fashion photographer. You just happen to shoot weddings, right? So to me, that's key. Making sure that the perception from those high-end clients is that you're a world-class fashion commercial photographer and your consumer clients will respond. And you can price yourself accordingly because a lot of us are not pricing. And a few tips on that. We've had some questions about pricing and portrait photography. I recommend you guys all do about a 3 different package echelon. I say no more than 4 packages if you're a consumer photographer, portraits or weddings. But I would have essentially like a bottom of the barrel basic package where you'll get those price kickers that, you know, they're going to be priced out if, you know, if you just say, hey, it's $10,000 for a wedding and they think, oh, that's way too much. Well, you want to be able to, those people, at least get them in the door. So I'd recommend pricing, say if you're a wedding photographer or portrait photographer, price a bottom of the barrel basic photo shoot that no one really wants. It doesn't offer enough for photographers to really want it. I would also have kind of a next tier up. I would have a next tier of we're going to have, okay, this is a medium grade one. It's a decent one. Doesn't offer all the bells and whistles, but for those more price conscious clients, we offer that too. Then you could have more of a premium package that's in the higher tier. So if you're a wedding photographer, you know, I would say anywhere between 6,000 and 9,000 is a good range for this one. And this is a one where you want all the clients to settle on, right? So if you can get in there and get in that like maybe $8,000 a wedding, that's a good sweet spot. It's not outrageous. It's not too low. It's a great sweet spot. And then you could have your premium package or $10,000, $12,000, $15,000 package. And depending on your market, but a lot of times, you know, you will have those upper tier clients that just don't care and they just want to spend the money. But you can give them this range of packages and then it'll steer them, the way you design those packages, steer them into wanting that, you know, that either that premium or that next tier down package so that it offers just enough excellence and excitement for them. And I'd also throw in things. I'd recommend doing video. I'd recommend, a lot of wedding photographers don't do video. A lot of portrait photographers don't do that. Everybody wants that for social media or for their own, you know, vanity. That customers want that now. And I would recommend adding value to your clients because that's absolutely critical. I do that to every client that I have. I add so much value that they just pinch themselves of how happy they are when they're working with us.
Yeah, that's called over delivering, guys. That's called over delivering. And I'm going to need to run, but I want to give one more little comment. I saw a question from one of your viewers about what do you do when you get in a funk? Well, Kevin's talking about it. Essentially, it's practice. And, you know, you have this opportunity with his workshops to practice. But that's what anyone that comes to me for any kind of coaching on their career about, like, I don't know what to do, I've been shooting this stuff for so long, is get out there and practice something. Challenge yourself. You know, go do a test of some sort. Come up with something. Be your own creative director. Draw out a treatment and say, that's what I'm going to go shoot and make it happen. And again, if you don't know or aren't experienced enough to do that on a whim, then I challenge you to take Kevin up on his offer, get into these workshops, make your book and your work and your website look dynamite. Because without that, you don't have a chance. Honestly, guys, I see thousands of emails that people send me with their work, and very seldom do they have the impact of someone like when I see Lance, you know, or someone else's website that has done these workshops. I can tell, not that it's Kevin's workshop, but I can tell that the work is impactful, that the work is professional, that the work has value. And I feel comfortable going to a client and pitching you. I'm not scared to pitch you like, guy, can this person really, can they handle this? Can they do this? Are they going to come through? We're charging a lot of money, etc. So that's what, to answer that question about, you know, what are you doing to get in a funk? Practice. And what do you want to practice? Mediocrity, or do you want to practice at the highest level? So thanks for having me, Kevin.
Absolutely,
Lance,
Jay.
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
If I
you
can
as
do
well.
anything for you again, Kevin, on any of these panelists or portfolio review, whatever, just let me know. Reach out to me.
Yeah, thank you, Jay. I really appreciate it. And it's an absolute honor to have you on because you are a world-class photography rep and you once represented me, and it was an incredible experience. Jay is an unbelievable photography agent and a great person. Thank you very much, Jay. I really appreciate it.
Welcome.
And I look forward to having you at an upcoming workshop.
You got it.
Okay.
You got it. Bye, guys.
So, all right, gentlemen, and ladies, I am so excited. I know we still have a ton of you guys on here, and I want to wrap this up with just the last few questions. And then, I would love for you guys to definitely contact us right away to take advantage of that special deal. We will make sure to set up a consult for this week so that we can start really coaching you and taking you to the next level. I know I've done this with Lance. And it's really, really helped Lance as well as many of the rest of you guys on here. I know I've also done consults here. We've got, Mike Weilet. Great shout out to you, Mike. He's done a few of our epic workshops. He's amazing to be there. Patrick and Atuso and his daughter, Cynthia, who's attending our workshops. Scott Blair, who Scott's been to probably at least 7 of our workshops. He's on here right now. Hey, Scott. He's also done one-on-ones with us. Would love for you guys to write, any of you guys who have attended workshops like Mike and Scott, mention on the panel or on the chat here about your experience. Talk about how you enjoyed it. Jeffrey Thayer, I believe he came to like our Newport Beach workshop, an amazing experience. James Atchison, Jamil, I believe Eduardo El Turan. He's been to a number of these, and I'm so excited. He's coming to another one coming up. We've got so many of these amazing photographers. Brian Lau, he attended the master class, created the greatest images of his lifetime, completely catapulting himself to another level. And Bert, I know I just spoke to you, Bert, buddy. I'm so amped to see you in Miami Beach. It's going to be just mind blowing. I also recommend you also add Newport. It's going to be just an incredible experience to add to that lifestyle body of work. So remember, we're not only going to learn the business side of it, but then you're going to be commanding a set and shooting the greatest images of your lifetime. And each workshop's a little bit different. Some of them are on lifestyle advertising. Like in Miami Beach, we have a section on resort lifestyle. We're going to be shooting at an ultra luxury resort with world-class top lifestyle advertising models. Then we're going to be shooting with major top swim models. Some have been on Sports Illustrated, some from Guess. With Miss Brazil last year, Playboy, a top tier talent. Newport Beach is going to be an epic experience. We're going to be doing something where essentially we're going to be shooting a epic lifestyle advertising body of work on both days. It's going to be incredible, and we're going to do it on lifestyle, health and wellness and advertising. We're going to be doing, we then have Chicago, which I believe is sold out right now. I think we just got our last enrollment in Chicago, but we also sometimes do waiting lists on those. But we're going to be doing this vintage Mad Men story. If any of you guys are interested in that, I know it gets everyone super excited. Of the photographers that attended last year, this was also probably one of the favorite workshops of the year. I know we had a bunch of really, really just incredibly happy photographers after that one. We're going to be bringing in another 1960 Shelby Cobra convertible. These were all shot at the last Chicago workshop. And then we're also going to do a lifestyle section on lifestyle advertising. Then we have the New York Fashion Workshop, where last year we shot with models from Versace, the campaign. We brought in girls from Vogue, Harper's Bazaar. We scheduled this right after New York Fashion Week. So all the best models from Milan, from Paris, they're all in town. So we get the best of the best of the best talent, and we're able to shoot in a mind-bending location. Last year we shot at this castle designed to be identical to King Henry VIII's palace from the 1500s. And it was absolutely incredible. It was in our attendee, Adam Friedman, who attended as our panelist at the last webinar, was showcasing all his amazing footage and aerial drone work that we did. And we're doing aerial drones at almost every single one of these workshops. I believe we are doing every single workshop this year for 2020. And that also brings me to the fact we have our Elite Masterclass that is going to be coming up in October. And this is our most over-the-top workshop. This one is mind-bending, okay? And this is the one, Lance, you have to attend. We highly recommend that you've attended at least 2 main section workshops first before attending this. So if you guys do want to come and potentially get published in a major magazine or win an amazing award like the One Island Award, I recommend that you take at least 2 main section workshops before attending the masterclass. So I'd get involved with, say, you know, Miami Beach and Newport, or Miami Beach and Chicago, Miami Beach and New York, whatever, and then add this as your third workshop, because this one is one not to miss. It's extremely exclusive. We only bring in the most high-end people that can handle it. This is not for beginners. This is a world-class experience. The other workshops are open to beginners, but the masterclass is for the serious advanced photographer, whether you're in consumer or commercial, but you're ready to go at the highest level. And this one's a little bit more. This one's $67.90 to enroll. But remember, it's for those of you guys who are currently enrolled in upcoming workshops, we're giving you that $500 discount if you enroll in the next 24 hours. So hit us up and we will get you set up. We want to make sure that we can make sure that 2020 is going to be the greatest year of your career. Because I know it's going to be for me. I have some massive scale productions in the works, and working with Indigo Productions and Atreyu Productions and shooting big campaigns this year. And I want to make sure to bring all of you guys along under my wing and make sure that each and every one of you has an opportunity to create images like this you see on the screen right here and take your career to the next level. So, and by the way, here on the chat, James Atchison says, masterclass was out of this world. Mike Weilet says, incredible production with epic images. Mike attended that Miami workshop last year that we were just showing. And Michelle Walker writes, thank you. So great for you to share all these great insights and business details. And thanks, Michelle. And I can't wait, because at these upcoming workshops in Miami and Newport, we're going to get really in depth on how to maximize marketing and really take your business to the next level. You personally, we're going to work with each and every one of you personally to make sure we're going to curate a very specific concept as far as how we're going to market to your demographic. We're going to target what that demographic is, what your goals are, and we're going to make sure that we're going to help you achieve all of those goals. And then Jeffrey Thayer writes, super fun. I got great images at a fraction of what it would cost me to produce a personal shoot. You're absolutely right, Jeffrey, and would love to see you coming up in Newport Beach again, because I know you live down there. It'd be perfect for you. And Brian, I can't wait. Brian Farley, I know you're buddies with Reza here, and I can't wait to work with you personally. This is going to be an experience of a lifetime. So we will hook you up, and I'll make sure that Reza hooks you up with that awesome deal with being a new photographer attendee, saving $300 off your 2020 workshop that I know you're enrolling in today. I know Mark Laurie, I got a chance to speak to you the other day. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I know that you are an amazing more of a boudoir photographer that shoots some incredible stuff. And I know Mark, that this is going to be another level of what you can achieve at the workshop. It's going to catapult you even further. I guarantee it. And you're going to.
I'll be showing up at the different multiple, but definitely the New York one. So maybe I see some of y'all there. And if you guys do have questions as well, I'll be there to help. And I may even help. I think Kevin, we talked about this. How after working with you for so long, you even get to let your attendees help direct the shoot as well.
Exactly, and that's a special thing that I do with a hand selected of my absolute favorite photographers that have enrolled in past workshops, especially if you enrolled in at least a couple of workshops in the past. I like to give you the opportunity to get involved with planning the workshop so that you can come up, and that's actually how we came up with this image right here on the screen. This was Adam Friedman, has attended multiple workshops. I did 4 workshops last year. I think he's coming to another 3 this year. Him and I planned this together, and this is something, Lance, you and I are going to plan New York together, and I believe there's a couple other photographers that are returning attendees, and we're going to come together with our creative vision and come up with something that's so mind-bending, and it's with your buy-in, with you, part of who you are as a photographer. We're going to develop creative briefs, and we're going to be able to then utilize your vision into the model casting, selecting top tier supermodels that I have access to, the wardrobe styling, the location, the concepts, all of that awesome stuff. It's going to be absolutely incredible, and I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait to do that. So, so all of you guys that want to take advantage of that special discount, $500 special discount, plus the photography asset Dropbox with examples of all these bids that I just showed you, examples of all this marketing material and everything, as well as a free 30-minute consult this week to really get going your photographic business, all about coaching, mentorship, and then a $300 deal for any of you who are new photographers. Right now to us here on our chat board, and let us know if you want to take advantage of that, and we'll get you taken care of. So, all right, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. And also, if you're watching this in rebroadcast, make sure to hit us up immediately within watching this so that we can help you out. So please get on there. And I also see on the poll that it looks like many of you, I kind of sparsed out here. A lot of you guys want to do the Miami Beach workshop. This looks like it's super popular. I had 44% of you want to do Miami Beach.
I love Miami. Last year,
yeah.
I loved Miami.
We had an amazing time.
And we did underwater photography too, as well. So we like new stuff that I haven't had done before. So it was point.
Exactly. We did underwater photography. We'll do aerial drone photography, and we do on the ground still photography and video production with 4K cameras, as well as gimbals. So we'll have Ronin gimbals, we'll have sliders, and we're going to film it just like a large scale commercial. And that's why you're able to see all that amazing video content, because every workshop gives you an epic photographic body of work and a video reel. So if those of you guys who are ready to enroll, please message us here on the board and hit us up, and we'll be in touch with you. We'll get you all set up with that special deal. And I cannot wait to work with each and every one of you. For those of you guys, if we didn't get to get your question during this webinar, make sure to tune in our next one, and I'll make sure to answer it. Or we can answer it at your next photographic consult that you set up with our photographic consultants, with Reza, with John, with Ivan, and we can get you guys on, and we can answer each and every one of your questions. So thank you for those amazing questions. It's been an absolute honor to talk with you guys today, and I can't wait to work with you guys in 2020 to create the greatest images and video content ever, and to shoot for the moon with your career, because I want you guys to really value who you are as a photographer and to be able to take you to that next level. So,
and Kevin, thank you for having me on here as well, and I hope to meet everyone out there as well. And as you said, like, take advantage of this. It really made a difference for me, and not only just for great amazing images, but it put me in the right mindset to stop thinking little and go big. And I feel that's what's important for photographers. It's just to know your worth, know your value, stop thinking small, think big, and use the work to just push you for the best year of your life.
Thank you, Lance. And you've been a pleasure to work with. You're a model example of the photographer that I like to enroll in these workshops, because you're so positive, you're great to work with, you're an epic professional, your work is incredible. And long before the workshops, your work was fantastic. But now once you attended the workshops, it's catapulted you to another level, because you've taken your skills and you've been able to then shoot with a world-class production, not South Carolina production value, but world-class Miami production value, and be able to shoot at that higher level. And Atlanta, and what we're going to do next in New York, dude, your mind's going to explode.
I could tell the difference in my work. It was amazing. I was a skeptic at first. You remember on the phone call, are you sure? Are you sure? But it was the best decision, best investment I've made.
Excellent. And that's why about half of my participants on this webinar right now are past attendees. So thank you guys. You guys are what makes this happen. And I thoroughly care for each and every one of you. And that's why I spend so much of my personal time speaking to you and coaching you and making sure that that we can achieve greatness together. So take care, guys, and make sure to message us and take advantage of this epic offer. And we'll talk soon.
All right. You have a good night, guys.
And by the way, tune in. We're going to have another couple upcoming webinars. One is going to be exclusive for only past attendees, such as Lance and all of you guys on here, Jeffrey and Bert and Brian, Cynthia Tuso, all of you guys on here that are past attendees, James Atchison, Jeffrey Thayer. I want you guys all to tune into a very special exclusive webinar we're going to do just to past attendees. And we're going to be launching that shortly. I want to make sure you guys attend that. Because it's going to be a lot more advanced, and it's going to be really fun to catch up with everybody and to build a network together. We're also going to be launching one in a few weeks from Australia. We're going to be filming with aerial drones with horses through Australia, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. I highly recommend you guys tune in for that one as well. It's going to be something very different. And we're also going to be adding a aerial drone day to our Elite Masterclass this year. This is the first time I'm announcing it, but we're going to update the website, but we're going to add that as an option for the Elite Masterclass 2020 in October. We're going to do a whole series on drones. And we are going to use drones at every single workshop this year. Yes.
Yeah, Kevin, real quick. Jeffrey Clark Grossman asks, "Is there a repeat of this webinar?" So we will email everyone. Some people I know came on later and missed the first half. Everyone who's on here, we will email you a rebroadcast of the entire webinar. So don't feel like if you miss something, you'll be able to watch the first section.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much. You're right. This whole thing will be available in rebroadcast. And the same link that you guys were originally received, that will allow you to watch the rebroadcast of it. And please share it with your friends and share it with us directly. We also highly recommend that you guys refer people that you know to our workshops, because we prefer to work with photographers that are referred by other photographers. So if you are referred, or you have photographers that you can refer, especially for those of you who are past attendees, we will offer you a $300 in cash for every single person you refer to us who ends up enrolling in a workshop for any 3-day workshop, and a $500 in cash for any person you recommend to us who enrolls in one of our travel 9-day experiences. And we do this explicitly because we want to help you out, and we want to work with people that you know personally. So if you also know anyone that's interested, it's a great opportunity for you guys to make some money directly. And if you want to enroll in one of these workshops, it's also a great opportunity for you to, make it far less of an investment. So just take advantage of it, because it is a significant deal, and you're going to get a much better return on investment by enrolling in one of these workshops and having 2 massive scale productions. And we're even going to do shoot demonstrations on day 1s of the upcoming workshops in 2020. So we're going to essentially be shooting on all 3 days. So the body of work you're going to be creating is going to be just hugely, hugely beneficial. So take care, guys. Remember to hit us up if you're ready to enroll. And please ask us if you have any additional questions, and we'll be sure to set up a photographic consult with you after this webinar. I want to make sure that each and every one of you visit photographyworkshopseries.com, and definitely get in touch with us right away. And I'll talk to you guys soon. And keep looking out for upcoming webinars, because we're always creating new and fresh stuff, and we'd love to work with you on tackling topics that each and every one of you cares about. Take care, guys.
Have a good night, guys.